culture is literally one of the most interesting breeding grounds for conspiracy theories that I have ever seen. I think obviously we see these celebrities every day. We watch their lives unfold, and it's obviously interesting to get into, but there are so many dark conspiracy theories surrounding different celebrities and pop culture that'll just blow your mind. But before we get into the pop culture conspiracy theories, I want to thank Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. I love fragrances so much. I have literally so many freaking bottles of perfume, but it's obviously an expensive collection. Scentbird is basically a subscription service, so you get new fragrances to try every single month. It's nice to have a 30-day supply of a new fragrance so that you can test it, see how you like it, and then you can commit to it if you want it from there on. Or if you just like to switch up your fragrance a lot like I do. I've genuinely been using Scentbird for years now. My sister and my brother-in-law got me a subscription for Christmas before. I love them. Their packaging is super sleek and easy to carry. I just throw these in my purse all the time. You can also take a quiz online if you're like not sure about what fragrance is right for you. You can take their quiz and you'll get just a bunch of personalized suggestions based on your preferences. I've been really into marshmallow scents lately. This is Commodity Milk, the marshmallow fragrance, and the tonka bean. This is such a beautiful fragrance. I will definitely be getting a full version of this. And then this one is Giazzata Ambassadora. This one's just a beautiful, like, fresh scent that's just good for every day. Honestly, oh, I love Scentbird. If you're interested in trying Scentbird, you can scan the QR code here or use the link below. And with my coupon code, you'll also get 55% off at Scentbird. Plus, you'll get free delivery to your door and a free case. Basically, you get the product for half the price, which is just $8. It's literally a steal. Go try it out. Try out this freaking milk one and please let me know. I think that might be the best smelling perfume I've ever smelled. So anyway, let's get into the pop culture theories. All right, the first theory that I want to talk about is something I've lightly talked about before, like very, very briefly. I don't understand how this conspiracy theory is not completely viral, honestly, because it just proves that everything we know about the government is a lie. So this theory is about the connection between Lisa Left Eye Lopez's death and Nipsey Hussle's death. And I know they died very many years apart, but there's actually such a strange connection here, which is a man named Dr. Sebi. So to understand this conspiracy theory, we need to first understand the man at the center of it, Dr. Sebi, who was born Alfredo Darrington Bowman and was a Honduran herbalist and natural healer. So he gained a lot of fame basically claiming that all disease stemmed from mucus and that the key to curing them was an alkaline plant-based diet. He has claimed to have the cure to several different diseases, including cancers, AIDS, various different things, and he in 1988 was actually taken to court for false advertising after claiming that he has cured AIDS. He produced 77 witnesses who were his patients that had allegedly been cured of AIDS, which is obviously, we know, an uncurable disease. The court ended up dropping this case and he was acquitted, but this only made him a bigger threat to Big Pharma. So in 2016, Dr. Sebi was arrested in Honduras for money laundering, and while in police custody, he happened to develop pneumonia and die. Which again, why are all these people dying of pneumonia in the industry? We've seen it with Kim Porter, we've seen it with Brittany Murphy. I don't like that. I don't like that. Many people believe that this man was killed to silence his knowledge of natural cures. So how does this connect to Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Nipsey? Well, we're gonna start back because Lisa passed away first. And Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC, behind the scenes, was actually on a spiritual journey that led her to Dr. Sebi, which was why she was in Honduras in the first place, which is where she died. So Left Eye was filming a documentary about her life, and she was going to include a lot of information about Dr. Sebi and how he was, you know, using his methods and practices to heal major illnesses. But sadly, of course, Lisa Left Eye Lopez was involved in a car accident and passed away. What's weird as well is that Left Eye predicted her own death, like, because in her final days, like 2 weeks leading up to her death, she said that she felt a dark presence following her, and she was in a car accident before her death, actually, and a young Honduran boy was killed, and his last name was also Lopez. And she genuinely believed that that spirit meant to take her, but instead had taken him. And then a couple days later, she died again in a car accident. So a lot of people wonder, did Left Eye really die in a tragic accident, or was she silenced so that she couldn't spread Dr. Sebi's teachings? I don't know. So Nipsey Hussle is another interesting part of this theory because he announced a documentary on Dr. Sebi's trial. So Nipsey was creating an entire documentary specifically about Dr. Sebi and how the government tries to, silence him and all of this stuff. And this was obviously after Dr. Sebi's death because Nipsey died in 2019, just months after he announced that this documentary was happening. He was gunned down in broad daylight outside of his store in Los Angeles. And a lot of people think that Nipsey's documentary about Dr. Sebi put a really big target on his back. And the reason that this kind of makes sense is because what's happened to Nipsey's documentary? First of all, Nick Cannon vowed to finish this documentary. He was like, I need to finish this documentary for Nipsey. Like, obviously they were friends, but yet it's been years since his death and it still has not been released. And a lot of people believe that Nick Cannon was actually pressured to drop the subject, basically getting threatened that if he were to dive into the whole Dr. Sebi conspiracy of it all, that he would also be killed. It just leads you to wonder what the hell was in these two documentaries, why was it never finished, and what was in it that scared so many people. And honestly, I don't know, Big Pharma, that whole theory scares the shit out of me because do I think like insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies and all that stuff really do want you to be sick because they need money? Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I 100% think that's true, allegedly. Damn, it is very scary to me that these two deaths happened. And I don't know why there's like not a lot of people talking about it and connecting Left Eye's death to Nipsey's death, because clearly like it's very strange that they were both studying the same doctor and then mysteriously died. Like, that's kind of crazy. And then I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts. All right, the next pop culture theory I want to talk about is going back a bit in time, and it's about Eazy-E and Suge Knight. This theory is so crazy to me, and there are so many dark theories surrounding Suge Knight that I think it's not that surprising, actually. But there is a dark theory that Suge Knight is actually responsible for Eazy-E's death. So Eazy-E was obviously a musician, but also he was the head of Ruthless Records, which made him one of the most powerful figures in the music industry at this time. Now, who just has beef with literally any other record label? That would be Suge Knight, the head of Death Row Records. So Suge really began poaching artists from Eazy-E, just trying to expand his empire at the time, and the two men, Eazy-E and Suge Knight, were known to despise each other. So in early 1995, Eazy-E checked into a hospital for what he thought was just a bad cough, and within days, doctors told him he had AIDS, and just a few weeks later, he was dead, which is basically unheard of. Like, again, you have to have HIV first, and then you would obviously like be symptomatic from that. It's just extremely rare, and then that develops into AIDS, which is a disease that will kill you. But AIDS experts noted that it was extremely rare for someone to go from seemingly fine to dead within weeks from this disease. Like, that's just not heard of. So that leads a lot of people to believe the conspiracy theory that Eazy-E was deliberately injected with AIDS, and by whom, you may ask? A lot of people think Suge Knight. There's even an interview in 2003 of Suge Knight on Jimmy Kimmel where he just casually says, they got this new thing out, they have a shot you shoot somebody with, they die slowly. Eazy-E kind of death. Yeah.
This is a new thing, right?
Yeah.
See, if somebody gonna do something about it,
Right.
technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS,
Yeah.
and then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well, that
death
seems
don't happen,
bad.
that's
Yeah.
a slow death.
Yeah. Yeah.
An easy thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Way to lighten the mood.
Wow.
And the audience just laughed, which is crazy because like that's not funny, and that's like actually fucking scary. And a lot of people believe that this was actually a confession that was hidden in plain sight. The idea is that Suge Knight, or someone who was working for Suge Knight, injected Eazy-E with the virus as a form of revenge or a business power play. This is not unheard of here within Suge Knight's conspiracy theory, repertoire. It's not like he's a saint or anything, but I'm not saying I think this theory is necessarily true. But it also really doesn't add up here because none of Eazy-E's other sexual partners had ever tested positive for HIV or AIDS. And his children were also tested, and none of them had the disease either. And it just makes you wonder that if Eazy-E didn't get AIDS the natural way, like, how did that happen? And why did it happen so fast? I don't know. I think this has always been a super interesting conspiracy theory, and it is dark. It just shows the dark side of pop culture that just genuinely freaks me the fuck out. Let's talk about the conspiracy theory that Biggie's mom was actually killed by P. Diddy. So Biggie's mom passed away just a couple days ago on February 20th of 2025, and she died of natural causes at 78 years old, which isn't like unheard of, obviously, but a lot of people are starting to believe that Big's mom was killed by P. Diddy. Obviously, P. Diddy is rotting in jail, but does he have people who are able to, you know, work for him? Probably. So Biggie's mom, Valletta Wallace, has been talking about over the years how she thinks that P. Diddy had a connection to Biggie's death. Over the years, she's expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with how certain individuals managed B.I.G.'s estate and legacy, and in her memoir, she claimed that Sean Diddy Combs and others exploited her son's name for work, and additionally, in other interviews, she voiced desires to confront Diddy and stated that she wanted to slap the daylights out of him. And now a lot of statements about Diddy's involvement with Biggie's death have been coming out recently, obviously with everything going on, but there were a lot of statements made by a former bodyguard of P. Diddy, Gene Deal, who basically claimed that P. Diddy exhibited a lot of suspicious behavior leading up to Biggie's death.
I never knew it myself, and I didn't know it that night that those stickers was on the car. I didn't know that till years later. But anytime you see any kind of things like that on a vehicle, on a street sign, on a wall, it comes from the street team. So somebody was put up to do that because they didn't put it on Puff Car. And those cars was rented. So to put those stickers on there, you defacing the property. Somebody got to pay for that. It was somebody in our crew that wanted them to know that Big was in that vehicle and to separate it. That's where you get there was more than one people trying to kill us. You understand?
And he recalls that Diddy insisted on attending a party that night of the shooting despite potential risks. And Gene Deal basically says that he thinks that Diddy's actions may have inadvertently or otherwise contributed to circumstances surrounding Biggie's death. So again, these are all speculations. Diddy has denied any involvement with the Notorious B.I.G.'s death, but I do think that it's interesting that his mother recently passed away, and it's really sad because honestly she probably was curious to see what was going to happen with P. Diddy's trial and how, you know, justice would be served. It's very, very sad, but I do think that it is interesting that, you know, after this documentary releases about how P. Diddy could have been involved with Biggie Smalls' death, that now all of a sudden his mother dies, who's like willing to speak out against P. Diddy. I don't know. It's interesting and really, really sad. So speaking of Diddy, another quick little update on his trial is actually the fact that his lawyer, Anthony Rico, just quit, which is actually nuts. Like, kind of unheard of for a lawyer to quit such a huge case that was going to bring him probably millions of dollars. So attorney Anthony Rico is a seasoned defense lawyer. Like, he's been doing this for many years, and he filed a motion on February 20th of 2025 to withdraw from representing Sean Combs in his federal sex trafficking case. And basically he stated that, quote, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs." Notably though, he didn't specify why or any reason for withdrawing. And he basically cited that it was just because of attorney-client privilege and that he doesn't have to say anything. But I think it's pretty nuts that he just departed this case, obviously. Like, what the hell did Diddy do? I mean, we know some of the things that he did, but I can't imagine what the hell this man must have found out that made him just be like, I can't defend this, I can't be involved. That's scary. Because we see literally anyone who have done the most horrific crimes still have a defense team. So this is pretty nuts. But Anthony Rico has emphasized that his departure would not delay this trial that is scheduled for May 5th of 2025 because Diddy continues to be represented by 5 other attorneys. But this was definitely an interesting departure here, and I'm very curious to see what unfolds next, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts and theories on it. All right, the last conspiracy theory that we're going to be talking about is one of the craziest pop culture theories that I have ever heard. So buckle up because it's a weird one. So there is a very dark conspiracy theory that Sandra Bullock actually stole her adopted baby. This is kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know. So in 2010, Sandra Bullock introduced the world to her newly adopted son, Louis Bardo Bullock, and she basically described the adoption process as a journey that began years prior, and she ended up bringing him home in January of 2010. Now, there is a woman named Miracle Kauser who has been talking about this on social media platforms for years, about how Sandra Bullock stole her child. So Miracle alleges that in 2008 she gave birth to 2 babies at the MedStars Washington Hospital Center in Northwest Washington, D.C. She claims that it was during an emergency C-section. Her newborn had been taken from her under suspicious circumstances, and according to Miracle Kauser, she actually wasn't carrying twins and that she was just carrying the one baby that she still has to this day. Miracle basically claims that, like, throughout their entire pregnancy, they wouldn't let her see any ultrasound photos or anything, so it was believed that this had been set up for a very long time. Literally since she found out that she was pregnant. I don't know how this would work, but, like, I also don't know why she would be talking about this on social media. Like, what would be the point? Like, I guess, like, fame and conspiracy, but, like, it's kind of just, like, wild, in my opinion. And also the age discrepancy is interesting to me, because the kid was born in 2008, and Sandra Bullock claimed that he was born in 2010, but Miracle claims that's not true, and that this was all planned for many years in the making.
That baby not mine, and that he was not born in 2008. First of all, you don't know what you know, Savannah. You only know what you hear Sandra Bullock tell you guys. If Sandra Bullock never stole my baby, why would she come up to 3 different stories about one little black boy about adoption? Come on now. In the beginning, she said Michelle Bombshell, the lesbian, okay, which was one of my alias, my nicknames. The lesbian gave her the baby inside the hospital worth $1.1 billion. First of all, Sandra Bullock, I never gave you my baby. I didn't even know I was pregnant. Until they gave me that special sonogram, I seen them twins. Then they rushed me to labor and delivery, and you were in the hallway taking pictures with photographers. So y'all had this shit set up from the get-go. Know what I'm talking about? So I ain't gonna about to sugarcoat nothing. I ain't about to lie about nothing. But yes, Sandra Bullock did steal my son. I had identical twins. She was there at the hospital the day I was rushed there by ambulance. It's no article saying what she was there for, but it's an article saying that she was there and pictures of her there. All of a sudden, my baby gets stolen. Right? I met the doctor who gave me my emergency C-section. Her name is Dr. Lorraine Gilliam. I met her in 2015 again and confronted her. As I was visiting my auntie at the hospital, she apologized to me and came clean and told me the truth. After telling me the bumbleclaw truth, she told me to meet her the next day. That would have been, I believe, on a Friday in July. She was found dead in her house with no natural causes. So someone killed her. She was very healthy. Someone killed her because they didn't want her to give me the evidence she stole out my medical records, which was my ultrasound pictures saying that I had twins. Okay? The second story was that she adopted the baby from Africa. Okay? She was even flying a woman, paying a woman, flying her from Nigeria to come out here to spend time with my son. She was just on Red Table Talk, I'll say a couple of months ago. Yeah, Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett Show on Facebook. I'll wait. Pull an article up. She was on there with Jada Pinkett, her daughter, and her mother. Okay? They kept asking her questions about Lewis and why would she adopt black kids and all this and that. She refused to talk about Lewis. You know, she said that Lewis was a secret adoption. She did not like Sandra Bullock stole my baby. Point blank and simple. I'm not lying about nothing. The doctor was found dead in her house with no natural causes. In 2015, after she got that doctor killed, she turned her story around and said she adopted the baby from New Orleans. How can you adopt one child from 3 different locations? It don't make sense to me. Make it make sense to me, you guys. Please make it make sense. It drove to her mansion in New Orleans. Not once, but twice. Okay? The bitch ran to another mansion. I don't have time for this. They're identical twins. When me and my kids drove to New Orleans and my son rung that doorbell, as I'm changing my baby in the car, before I get out the car, both of my boys are at her mansion. I never knew that they were talking to someone at the gate. Okay? So, As I get out the car with the baby, I walks over there. They're talking to a man. And the man, I hear him say, Lewis, what are you doing outside the gate? My oldest son said, I'm not Lewis, I'm his twin brother. Is he home? The man states to me and my boys that no, Lewis is not here. I always see Lewis right here playing and stuff, but I never in my life seen Sandra Bullock. So I'm like, this is weird. You working on her mansion, you never met the woman. And he said he was doing business, construction on her mansion, fixing it up, doing some work, and that she left and went to her mansion in Austin, Texas. He wasn't supposed to give us that location. He wasn't supposed to tell us none of that, but he told us. And then he said, I pray that you get your son back. That's messed up. But yeah, they are identical. They look just alike. And my son said, thank you. We left. We went to the court building. Went to go file documents. Why is it everybody's giving me the turn up? Like, nobody wants to help. Nobody wants to help me. It's okay. Because I'm going to keep telling my story each and every day until I get back what was stolen from me. They're identical twins. Look on my page. I'll wait. I don't have to lie to nobody. I'm not sugarcoating nothing for no one.
Miracle Kauser also insists that years later, she actually ended up contacting the doctor who performed the C-section on her, and she claims that during this conversation, the doctor confessed to any wrongdoings and admitted involvement in the abduction of her child. And then that very next day, apparently the doctor just mysteriously died. Now, Sandra Bullock has never spoken about this theory publicly, which I think is kind of interesting and to me is kind of weird. Honestly, like, there have been so many different cases where different celebrities have been accused of being, you know, father of someone's child. Like Justin Bieber people thought that he was the dad of someone and he just immediately took a paternity test to prove that he wasn't. So this theory is kind of interesting to me because I think it's kind of strange that Sandra Bullock didn't just like offer to have a DNA test or, you know, at the least threaten to sue Miracle Kauser. Like the fact that she's just like outwardly saying like Sandra Bullock abducted my child is like, if that's not true, I think that could definitely call for a defamation lawsuit. But like, she just isn't suing her. And I just think that that is loud. Like, that's loud. I'm not saying I think this is necessarily true, but what I will say is Miracle Kauser's son, who is the twin of Sandra Bullock's kid, looks exactly like him. Like, they look a lot alike. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this theory because it is so... I can't believe I've never heard of this. It's kind of starting to make its rounds now on TikTok, but she has been talking about this for years. She's literally been talking about this for 15 years, about how Sandra Bullock abducted her son from the hospital. Which, if this is true, that's literally insane. That's like actually crazy. I can't believe it, but if I was this kid, I would be like, all right, I want a DNA test. Like, it's weird to me that that hasn't been done to like prove her innocence, because obviously the claim that you abducted a child from its mother and literally like raised it as your own is kind of a wild fucking claim that you would think you would want to be dispelled and you know, proven to be incorrect if it were. So I just think it's strange that Sandra Bullock has remained silent about this. Honestly, I think it's weird, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these pop culture theories, and if you have any other celebrities that you want me to talk about and talk about the different theories surrounding them, let us know in the comments below. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.